Okay, we're live. Okay, I gotta sign into the chat. Do all this stuff. I am doll eyes, doll mouth, doll legs. Oh, here I am. I am doll arms, big veins, doll bait. Yeah, I really want you. They really want you. They really do. Yeah, they really want you. They really want you. Well, I do too. I want to be the girl with the most cake. Crystal Marie, you're here? Hi. She only loves those things because she loves to see them break. I fake it so real, I am beyond fake. Someday you will ache like I ache. Hello, sweetheart. Just another quantum function. I was just singing whole while I'm waiting for people to get here. I am doll parts, bad skin, doll heart. It stands for knife for the rest of my life. Yeah, they really want you. They really want you. They really do. Yeah, they really want you. They really want you. Well, I do too. I want to be the girl with the most cake. Love her so much, it just turns to hate. Anyway, we'll start talking about this shit. I'll wait for more people to get here before we start doing chart stuff. Or I could look at quantum function. But really quickly, I just wanted to say some words about the election. And I'll be doing more and more and more about it as we go on. And what I want to look at today is your progressions in your chart, which is going to take some interaction on your part, because we'll look at big events in your progressions, and we'll start with quantum function. And we can break down what those mean, and you can give me feedback, because we can see big events typically with progressions, but we don't get a sense of the quality of those events necessarily, except under certain conditions. So quantum function says they are ready. Quantum function says they are ready. So, but anyway, I was just looking just really quick, and I'll do videos about this later. I have to do more election bullshit. But we have Mars conjunct Uranus, and it perfects on July 15th, which is really interesting because if you look at the charts of the presidential candidates, there's some interesting things. Like for Joe Biden, it's opposite Mercury, his 10th house ruler, and that could mean no good for him. Like these are surprise attacks. When I think of Mars conjunct Uranus, I think of surprise attacks, you see? And so I think there could be a surprise taking him out of the race, or him possibly leaving the race, which he said was a possibility if he saw he couldn't win, or if his age showed him. Which would make way for Kamala Harris, who I really hope she gets in there, because at least she's coherent. But if you look at her zodiacal releasing, she's got a big peak period going on. So it's really interesting. Things look good for her. And then that same conjunction between Mars and Uranus is actually on Donald Trump's midheaven and square his ascendant. So to me, I don't think that looks very good. But I think part of that could just be all the publicity that, see, I put Saturn girl on here. It could just be the publicity that Project 2025 is getting. But anyway, let's look at progressions, shall we? Let me pull up, because quantum is here. And quantum has been such a big supporter. Thank you, quantum. Quanta. The quanta. You know, the quantum packets, right? Photons. I was really into a physicist named Max Tegmark, who wrote the book Our Mathematical Universe. And he talks about a lot of this stuff. It's really interesting. I should go back and read it again. I should go back and read it again. Do we have quantum here? So let me pull up quantum. So this quantum's chart. Now I'm going to do progressions. Progressions. So for those of you who don't know, progressions are a timing technique. We know that they at least go back to the Middle Ages. Some people think that it was invented by Titus or Placidus de Titus, who is credited with the Placidus house system. But it probably goes back even further, you know. Your real name is Cora. Very cool. So anyway, basically with progressions, a day equals a year. So we take the first 90 to 100 days of life, however long we think you're going to live, you know. So typically we say 100 years to be generous. And each of those days becomes representative of the corresponding year of life, right? So that first day you took your first breath, yes? When you were born, we take those transits from that day and we stretch them out over that whole first year. So they're essentially slowed down, right? So that's why it's symbolic, because we're taking one smaller chunk of time as indicative of a larger chunk of time, you see? And to me, the way all this works is through the interdependent nature of the universe, you know, which is not something mystical or woo-woo, it's something observable, you know? So anyway, I hope that makes sense. So basically, the progressed sun moves about a degree a year rather than a degree a day. And the progressed moon, I think, moves about, a degree a month rather than a degree an hour. Is it a degree an hour or is it 2 degrees an hour? I can't remember. But anyway, so everything is slowed down, and including the other planets at proportional rates, right? So the 3 things we look for with these are, number 1, planets changing signs, and therefore houses, because we do whole sign houses with this technique. And really, I do it with everything, you know. So, hi, Revti, how are you? We look for planets changing signs. We look for planets going retrograde or direct. And we look for progressed lunations, that is, new moons or full moons, right? And these are all significant changes and periods in your life. So let's look at quantum functions progress chart. Well, this was as of the 10th. Why is it on the 10th? A couple days really won't make a difference, but we'll go to it. So anyway, let's see what's cracking. The progressed moon phase is always a big deal, and it looks like you're a progressed disseminating moon or approaching a progressed last quarter. So you see, this is the phase after the high point of the progressed full moon, which it can feel like a climax to life, or it can be a high point in your life, right? So for some people, they get married. For other people, it's a traumatic event. It was my divorce. But I did have the kid and the wife and the house and the jobs and the dog and the picket fence, you know, and the garden. I had roses. But anyway, I'm much happier now. But the point is that these are big life-changing events. So what we're going to do, quantum, is we're going to go back in time. And I want you to be able to communicate with me if there's anything you're willing to share about particular times in your life. So we're going to go back to your, years. We're going to go back to your progressed full moon, which, let's see here, months. Let's go forward a couple months. So give or take, you know, a month or so, we're talking about June of 2018. starting mid-June of 2018. Can you tell us anything about that period of your life? Typically, like I said, it feels like a high point, as I said. It feels like a climax, for good or for ill, right? Now, the moon isn't happy in Capricorn, so I wonder what the quality of this event was. I wonder what the quality of this event was. And for those of you just joining us, please like the stream, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And tips and donations are greatly appreciated. You can give through super thanks below, or you could go down to the description and see my PayPal information. But anyway, we're looking at progressions. We are looking at progressions. And progressions, as I said, is a very useful timing technique. Oh, wait, hold on. It says top chat. I need to go to live chat. Okay, cool. Never mind. My name is Cor. I came out of my shell more. I finished my infusions at the cancer center. Wow. That's a big deal. Ooh, my. Oh, sorry. I'm not used to having these things. They're growing on me. Boom, you know. So, although I wish they'd grow more, to be quite honest with you. So, anyway, Mitch and Twilight, hi. We can look at your progressions too. And anyone else who's here, you can put your birth information in the chat. We don't have a lot of people here, so, I'll probably get to you all pretty quickly. So, and we're mostly looking at progressions, especially for people who've been here before, So anyway, Cancer Center. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now let's go forward a little bit. Were you born with any retrogrades in your chart? This is always interesting to see because in terms of planetary activation, there's a couple different considerations, but one of them, especially used in modern astrology now, is that certain planets get activated in your life when they go direct or retrograde by progression. And you have Saturn retrograde. And your Saturn went direct at some point in your life, which is very, very noteworthy. I'm not really concerned with the outer planets necessarily. Although, look, your Pluto is stationing. I wonder, let's see. Oh my goodness, look at this. So this is relatively significant. So your progressed Pluto stationed direct in 2018 as well, at the very end. So oftentimes this could be something to do with death or power, right? You were just talking about finishing your cancer infusions and Pluto went direct, right? Which is quite interesting. When Vladimir Putin's progressed Pluto went direct by progression is when he came to power. Gordon Ramsay had his progressed Pluto go direct or retrograde by progression. And what happened to him was he was ice fishing on one of his TV shows and he fell into a frozen lake and he almost died. But one of those circumstances where the how cold it is like preserved his brain so he didn't have any brain damage. But so he survived and is as good as ever. But it's a pretty fucked up circumstance, right? Rev TIC, I will get to you in just a second. And we're going to look at Mitchin Kitchen. Okay. But anyway, so this is quite significant. I'd like to hear if anything happened in your life that we didn't talk about around the same time, which would be December, 2018 going into early 2019. So it felt like I was kind of born again, very surreal. I mean, that's definitely one of those sort of experiences, isn't it? Now, before we move on to someone else, my darling, I want to look at when your progressed Saturn went direct. Because, these very slow-moving planets usually don't go retrograde or direct in your lifetime. For most people, they don't go retrograde or direct in their lifetime, you see? I have my progressed Pluto going direct in 2028. My progressed Saturn went direct in 2022. And it's when I quit a job of 20 years. Because when progressed Saturn goes direct, It feels like being let out of your cage, right? Like anyone remember this gorillas, right? Finally, someone let me out of my cage, right? It's kind of like that sort of deal. It feels like we get all this newfound freedom, but oftentimes it's very scary because having a retrograde Saturn in your chart often means that you're binding yourself, right? That we tend to hold ourselves back, right? Rather than establishing normal boundaries, we put boundaries on ourselves, unfortunately. And it's something we have to work on throughout our lives, typically. So I want to see what happened here. See here. Oh, I just can't wait to be queen. Oh, I just... See, this happened early on in your life. Okay. This happened really early on in your life. So this, you probably don't even remember what happened here. Oh my God. Yeah, this happened like, so you won't even remember. This happened like, what, a year, when you were 1 year old. So there may have been something significant you don't remember, perhaps. Or maybe you have a vague and distant memory of that time. People are so fucking dumb. Sorry. Just everyone telling me to read this and read that. Like, I got plenty to fucking read. I don't need to see your shit. Been developing media literacy for 40 years. So, leave me the fuck alone. Anyway. So this is a quite interesting thing. See, my progressed Mercury went direct by progression when I was 3 years old. And it's when I had this profound spiritual experience that put me on all this shit. Or at least an experience of consciousness, right? What I call the mystery of consciousness. So, I choked on a cigarette pack cellophane and almost died. Wow. So you do know some stuff that happened. That's quite interesting, you see. That's quite interesting. Now, very quickly, we'll go ahead back into the future and see if we see anything coming up. Let's see. July 13th, 2024. Here we go. Let me open this again. Just another and then we got to move on. We got to move on to the next person. Because I just like, I go off on these things. I get all wackadoodle because I want to know. I want to know. This is like, I get really into, I have a Scorpio midheaven. I get into investigator mode. You see? Wait, this is your regular chart. Where's your fucking progress chart? Here we go. Thank you so much. You were so good to me, Quantum Function. You are so sweet. You are so, so good to me. Please, 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 everyone like the stream, subscribe to my channel. I need all the help I can get. And Quantum Function just gifted a membership. Oh, Amber was gifted a membership. That's wonderful. Now, for the members, I want to start doing members only streams where we either do lessons, we study a topic, or we look at particular synastry, or look at celebrity charts, you know, fun things like that. And I want to do topics that you're all interested in. So, you know, please let me know in the chat if you have any suggestions, members and such. I know Amber already has tons of suggestions. But anyway, going into the future. Time keeps on slipping, slipping into the future. I mean, I don't see anything big coming up anytime soon. When does Mars change signs? Oh, your progressed ascendant's about to change signs in a few years. Your progressed ascendant goes into Gemini in 2028. That's a big deal. That's a pretty big deal. My progressed ascendant changes signs next year. So, and look at this. The sign the progressed moon is a very big deal. So right now, your progressed moon is in Aries like mine. So we're kind of fucking bitches, you know. Hi, thank you for subscribing. Thank you. Can I take your question? You can put a question in. We're going in sequence of people who I do tarot. Yes, I do tarot. I can bring my deck over, but we're going in sequence of people. So anyway, your progressed moon is in Aries right now, which makes us both fucking bitches, you know? But then both of our progressed moons, yours after mine before yours, are going to go into Taurus. And so yours is in 2026. So you got some time to be a bitch, you know? Will I reach France in September? I don't know if you'll reach France in September. Do you want me to look at your chart? Do you want me to look at your chart? You could put your birth information, or do you want me to do a tarot reading if you'll reach France in September? We'll look at tarot readings in just a second, but yes, I do tarot readings. Sorry, my ADHD, I get off on shit. We'll take everyone sequentially. Subscribe and like the stream. I gratefully accept donations and tips through super thanks and super chats below. But see, when the progressed moon goes into Taurus, we get to enjoy ourselves a bit more, right? We get a bit more indulgent, self-indulgent. We want to enjoy nice things. You know, we're less bitchy. We're going to get a lot more calm, you see? Can you tell me what city in India, Deepika? Because India is quite a big place. There's a couple different time zones in India. Yes, there's a couple different time zones in India. Where in what city in India, sweetheart? But I'll do tarot in just a little bit. So anyway, this is all wonderful stuff, quantum. Quantum. And then, you know, you'll have your progressed new moon in years later. Your progressed new moon will be in 2032. Oops. 2032. Around the same time mine will be, actually. We're about the same age, you know. So that'll be a big deal. My last progressed new moon is when my dad committed suicide. It was pretty wild. But see, mine was an eclipse. So now let's go to Mitchin Twilight. Are you still here, Mitchin? Mitchin? Bangalore, Karnataka. Okay. Thank you, Quanta, or Cora. I'll call you Cora. Thank you, Cora. I really appreciate you. You're really good to me. You're such a big supporter. And I really appreciate you. And let me know if you're interested. Let me know if you're interested in doing those member-only streams where we go through you know, special topics and things more in depth, and your charts more in depth. Let me see. I should have Mitchin in here. I thought Mitchin Kitchen. Yeah. Wait, Mitchin. You were September. Who's that? That must be your partner. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we have Mitchin here. Mitchin, you were born on a new moon. Excuse me, in the first house. Look at you. Very important person. Cassie, hello, sweetheart. Hello, it's good to see you. OMG, my sincerest condolence. Well, thank you. It was 20 years ago. 21 years ago. Yeah. 21 years ago? Yeah, 21 years ago. I was 20 years old. So let's look at your progressions. Do you have anything retrograde in your chart of note? Yes, Venus. Yes, Mercury. Yes, Venus and Mercury. Those are the only ones I'm really interested in. So Samantha Katz, thank you so much, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Please like the stream also and subscribe to my channel. And bring your homies over. And remember, I do the best readings. It's fucking science, yo. I do the best readings. And you can either message me or email me or book through my website, saturngirl.org. Anyway, now we're looking at progressions. For those just joining us, progressions are a symbolic timing technique whereby we can break down someone's entire life. So here's the progressions for you as of, well, let me go to today. A couple days won't make a difference because all the planets are slowed down quite a bit. My fucking neck hurts so much. Sorry I cuss a lot. I'm sorry. My neck hurts so much. I have degenerative disc disease. So your progressed ascendant went into Scorpio not too long ago. We'll look and see when your progressed Venus went direct and when Mercury went direct. But this is quite interesting. Let's go back a month. Couple months, maybe it was a year then. Let's see. Yeah, it was about a year ago. July of 2023. This is why I shouldn't cuss so much, I guess. Please like the stream, subscribe to my channel. Anyway, so Mitch and Twilight. July, the end of July, going into August of 2023 is when your progressed ascendant went into Scorpio. So the progressed sun is sort of like, the coat we put on, right? And then, during that phase, yes. And then the progressed moon is sort of like the emotional clothing or the emotional underwear, the undergarments, right? And the progressed ascendant typically represents, what we're doing, our goals, the direction we're headed in and all that. The ascendant, even in Vedic astrology, was considered to be an indicator of the Dharma, at least in some practices that I'm aware of. So it's like becoming the warrior, isn't it? Yeah, becoming the warrior. My progressed ascendant's about to go into Aries, so the other side of Mars, right? Scorpio's ruled by Mars. It's like Mars turned inward. And therefore, we think of it like the spiritual warrior. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Darling. Thank you. So anyway, this wasn't too long ago. This was just a year ago. And I wonder, Mitchin, if there are any significant events that you can remember around this time. And if you would not like to share, that's totally okay. Deepika says, I love your vibe. Thank you. Not most. I'd say it's like 50-50. Half of people hate my guts. And half people think I'm really cool. So thank you. And we'll try and get to everyone's charts. We're 30 minutes in. So I'm going to move on in just a second. But I just wanted to go ahead into the future. Like I said, 3 things we look for are progressed planets changing signs, going retrograde or direct, and progressed lunations, newer full moons. So your progressed full moon is going to be happening, when is this? 2027. Late 2027. So Mitch and Twilight says it was a trip to Washington, a trip from Arizona and back. I wonder if that had any special significance for you. So anyway, this is in 2027, your progressed full moon. So just be aware, it's just a few years away. Now let's go back to where we were. So your progressed moon is in Pisces. When mine was in Pisces, I cried a lot. We're very emotional when the progressed moon is in Pisces. Like I said, it's the emotional clothing we put on. There's an increased sense of empathy and idealism, right? Now, in about a year, your progressed moon goes into Aries. And believe me, this is fun. I've been enjoying it, but I have to apologize a lot because I say a lot of mean shit. And I'm very impulsive right now, right? We get very angry and reactive when our progressed moon is in Aries. And remember, it remains there for about 2.5 years. So just be aware of that. Anything else happening in the future? Quite interesting. Let's really quickly look at when Venus went direct. I wonder if this is going to be another one where it was like early in your life. Looks like it was early in your life. Oh, progressed Mercury. So progressed Mercury station direct December of 2000. December of 2000. Yeah, 2027, like I said, things would probably get better. So, but 2000, your progressed Mercury went direct. Going into 2001, it was the very end, December the 27th. So this would have been going into 2001. That would have been an important, significant time in your life. And we got to move on again. And then 1991, it looks like. 1991, towards the end of the year. September 8, 2000. Oh, that's Cassie. Okay, Cassie. And that's your cousin's chart. Okay, so we're doing all the members first. We're moving on now. We're doing all the members first. And then we're doing donations. And then we're doing donations. So we did Quantum. And we did Mitchin. And were there any other members? Members. C. Hey, love. Nice to be back. Nice to have you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So we got Samantha Katz next. I hope you're here, Samantha. Now, since I don't remember ever doing your natal chart. Wait, were you here before? I have Samantha. Oh, no, I have a different Samantha here. I have a different Samantha. You're welcome, Mitch and Twilight. You're welcome. And we can also look at your natal chart more in the future. I'm sure you'll be around, you know. So thank you. Will I reach France? So first, Deepika, we're going through because I prioritized members, then I prioritized donations. So we will get to you. Okay, we will get to you. So first, Samantha Katz. Where's Samantha's birth information? Where's Samantha? Samantha. Oh, wait, Cassie. We have Cassie. Sorry, we have to do Cassie quickly. But Samantha, make sure you put your information in there. We're going to do Cassie really quickly. Her cousin. She's a member. You can be a member of my channel too. We're going to start doing members only streams where we do lessons on topics. We go more in depth into charts. We go more in depth. We do fun things like look at celebrity charts and shit like that. Stuff like that. Okay, we're doing Cassie's cousin really quick. And this is just natal. And we're going to be very brief because we need to get through a lot of people. 12. I don't know what 12 MN is. Cassie, what's 12 MN? Is it 12 p.m.? 12 p.m. or 12 a.m.? I don't know what that is. Bicol, Philippines. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Philippines. Bicol is not coming up. Bicol is not coming up. I don't see a Bicol. What's the closest city? Midnight. Okay, I didn't know what that is. And Bicol is not coming up. Bicol's not coming up. What's the closest city to Bicol? Bicol region comprises the southern part of Luzon, the largest island in the Philippines. I wonder if I could say Luzon. No, I can't. Bicol. It's not coming up. Albay City. Albay City. Albay. Why do they not have here? It's not coming up. It's not coming up. Philippines. Let me type in Albay. I'm gonna have to get to someone else because this isn't coming up. I see Alaminos, Alagaling, Albuera, Alcala, Alcantara, Alicia, Almodian, Alacapa. I'm sorry, I can't. Can you put in? No, it's not working. It's not working, sweetheart. Albay isn't showing up. Bicol isn't showing up. Manila. Okay, that's what I'll do. Manila. That comes up. Okay. Jesus Christus. Okay. So this person's a Gemini rising. Rising ruler. First house ruler. Yeah, it's under the time zone, so let's just get on with it. First house ruler is Mercury in the 5th house. So either A, children are quite important, or B, what I think is more likely, sex is a lot more important. But I imagine they're probably going to have children, right? Venus is the 5th house ruler in the 5th house. So, I mean, they were born in 2008, so they're still quite young. But no, don't worry, Cassie. It's fine. I just get frustrated and I have a lot of people to get through. So for those of you just joining us, please like the stream and subscribe to my channel. I prioritize members of my channel and donations because we live in capitalism, unfortunately, and this is the way it goes. And I will try to get to as many people as I can. So I will move quickly. Now, this person loves to argue. I don't know if your cousin is male or female, but for people who are born male, typically Venus conjunct Mars makes them a bit more effeminate, right? Or a bit, more elegant or graceful or whatever. It can make them more charming, Metrosexual is what I often say about that. That's what I typically say about that. And people born female, it usually makes them more masculine or assertive, Thank you, Kimberly, or Sarah Kimberly Rosen. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to have you aboard. Thank you. So anyway, and Saturn conjunct the sun. Before I leave, Mercury conjunct Mars. Now, Mars isn't very happy in Libra, so this typically makes someone passive-aggressive and wishy-washy. They might have a big sex drive, right? They might get very, very, amorous. But at the same time, they would still be a bit of a wet noodle, meaning passive-aggressive or maybe shy, not being able to go for what they want so much. Not so much aggressive, This person probably needs a bit more confidence. Yeah. Also, Jupiter, the 10th house ruler, is in Capricorn in the 8th house, stationing retrograde. That's not a very happy Jupiter, right? In the 8th house, sometimes it can be inheritance or luck from death, C says, hey, love, can I have a synastry reading? So I'm going sequentially through members and then donations and then everyone else. So that's typically how we do this. This is how we do it. Anyone remember Montel Williams? Was that? No, not Montel Williams. That was, anyway, I'll stop that. Thank you for subscribing, darling. Thank you. And join me. If I don't get to you today, I'm going live again tomorrow. So yes. What? Hold on. Let me just make sure I don't have something else tomorrow. If you're, we bring up. Oh yes, that would be great. Okay. Anyway, and then Sun conjunct Saturn. That's a rough one. It makes people very stoic. It can often give a good work ethic and lots of discipline, right? One of my friends had this, and he had a drinking problem, and he used to get really aggressive and angry when he would drink. And so he realized it was a problem, and he just quit one day and never did it again. He didn't need treatment. He didn't need help. He just did it, right? And this was the kind of guy that was a workhorse. And it can have resting bitch face. You know, along with the stoicism, it can be a bit, you know, it needs to learn how to have fun oftentimes, although with all the stuff in the fifth house, I imagine that's not too big of a problem. But I also imagine that there was an issue with dad growing up. Maybe dad cheated on mom or whatever, or was a bit promiscuous, or it was an unstable home growing up. You know, typically Saturn in the fourth house can give an abusive or absent father. You know, it's an unstable home life growing up. And then the life motif is about, you know, achieving stability, right? Finding out that home is wherever you are, where you make it. So, and then there's Pluto on the descendant. There's issues with power struggles, you know, that sort of thing. And then the North Node in the ninth house indicates that there's a decidedly spiritual bent in the life. Hi, Shani. Good to see you. Now, Jupiter, like I said, isn't very happy. So there may be career difficulties, or they might feel like a late bloomer, like it's a hard time getting or keeping a job. You see? There could be difficulty there. Anyway. They have Jupiter going through the first house right now, which is pretty auspicious. It's unhappy Jupiter in Gemini, but it's still good. It's good for giving us confidence. It's good for, you know, getting our bodies straightened out, you know. So this is all wonderful stuff. And Venus is in Leo in this person's third house, right? So they may be reconnecting with siblings or cousins. Cousins! Look at that, third house stuff. Anyway, Cassie, we got to move on. I hope that was useful. Oh, and as far as romantic partners, this person likes the bad boys and girls or dangerous people. Probably dangerous people, and they've had a difficult relationship history. Although they're still quite young. Gosh. Let's see, my daughter's 2013. 2008 would be 5 years younger. Or 5 years older, rather. My daughter's 11, so 16 years old. So this person's only 16 or so, right? So they still have a big life ahead of them. Big life ahead of them. And then after Cassie, we had Samantha. And Samantha is October the 8th. Samantha. And we've been talking progressions. But for people who are first timers, we're going to look at just basic natal stuff and a little bit of timing. So 10/8 1975. London, UK. They just had some wild elections. UK elections. Just don't let the Reform Party get in. Don't let the Reform Party get in. Okay, here's Samantha. 5:51 a.m. London. Here we go. Oh, look, we got Venus in the first house. But it's an unhappy Venus because she falls in Virgo, doesn't she? And Venus rules the ninth house and the second house. So I wonder if there's been difficulty with money. On the one hand, building up your own sort of empire business. Max Frank, can I do your chart? He. I mean, if you want to, I don't know. My chart's out there in public. When I see Mercury, oh, thank you, right? Thank you. When I see Mercury opposite Jupiter, I think of bullshitters. I think of exaggerators, people who tell tall tales or fibs, you know? Like Colin Powell had this, or had the square, really. Ms. Colston, happy Saturn day. Thank you. Hello. So oftentimes I think of bullshitters. And Mercury's retrograde too. So this is a person who's a bit more, quiet, introspective. Or sometimes we have learning disabilities when you live in NYC now. Oh, so you're not voting in the UK elections. I gotcha. I understand. You have Pluto conjunct your sun. That's fucking rough. I have Pluto square my ascendant. You feel me? The life is basically punctuated by a series of crises. And I mean crises that shatter you. Everyone likes to call Pluto transformation. Like, it's transformation. And that's just a euphemism for life-shattering crisis. And you probably can confirm this for me. You were born in 1975. So you're what? Like, oh, my fucking neck. Ugh. So you're what? I'm 1983. So, you're 8 years older than me or something like that. You're seven years older than me, I guess. So hopefully you've realized that crises are what you learn through, right? They make you who you are. How else do you make a precious gem but heat and pressure, correct? And all this stuff in your second house, right? So upheavals and finances and all those sorts of things, right? But it's your material security that's a big life motif because your first house ruler is in your second house. So the sense of material security is important to you, and you may have felt materially insecure growing up. Thank you, Max Frank. Thank you. I appreciate it. Oh, you're a Gemini Mars like me. You're probably a terrible arguer. Terrible arguers. I wonder if you, A, didn't ever have children, or B, if you had children with either learning disabilities or neurodivergence, or perhaps depression, because Saturn rules the 5th house of children and is in the 12th house, which oftentimes has to do with addiction, mental health, neurodivergence, and just Saturn isn't very happy, You're 48 years old. I'm 40 and I've been dating a woman who's like 49 at one point. So anyway, and Scorpio moon is rough. It really is because, it's hard to relax around people. The moon is our sense of security, right? Emotional security. It's the ebbs and flows, the changing tides of our emotions. So when I see a Scorpio moon, I often think, someone who's like, it's hard to relax in relationships or even relax with yourself because there's always this sense that people are doing something or they're misleading you or they're conspiring against you. It doesn't have to be that way, but there's a sense of paranoia and hyper reactivity. The moon is exalted in Taurus and she's very secure there. She enjoys the sensuality of life. Whereas in Scorpio, she always feels uncomfortable, And it's hard for her to enjoy things because she can't relax. Everyone's out to get her, But you're probably very attractive with Venus in the first house, you see. And then Mercury also rules your 10th house. So there may be something to do with managing money or something like that, or a business, Kiddo with autism. Yeah, I try to be sensitive about all that stuff, you see, but yeah, it's pretty clear in here. It's pretty clear. You have Jupiter opposite the sun like I do. It can make us a bit pompous and know-it-alls, you know. We know the right way. You know, I always say hi, Bexy. How are you, sweetheart? I can't wait to see you later. Anyway, thank you for coming. Now, Mars in the 10th house indicates there's difficulty with authority, right? Difficulty with authority figures. And Mars is square the ascendant. Another indicator there's difficulty with authority figures. And perhaps impulsiveness and reactivity and aggression may thwart the dharma of the first house, which has to do with self-investigation. So maybe turning your anger outwards causes you to miss your own internal investigation, you see. Max Frank says, anyway, we'll look at that in a second. Right now, Jupiter's going through your 10th house, which is sort of auspicious for life direction and finding new jobs. My guess is that opportunities will emerge over the next 8 months or so. So if you've been trying to change jobs, I imagine you do have difficulty with bosses and stuff like that. Or if you've been trying to do something with a small business or changing careers or something like that, sort of now's the time to do it. I imagine you were involved in an educational venture over the past year before that. So, or maybe, you know, your philosophy of life changed or spirituality changed in some way. And Venus is going through your 12th house. So right now is the time for self-care. Take care of yourself. Get into therapy. You know, make doctor's appointments. You know, Epsom salt baths. Epsom salt baths. My neck fucking hurts. Anyway, let's go on to the next person. I see Max Frank, but did you put your birth information in here? Max Frank says, I'm a Virgo rising in stellium, Scorpio moon Uranus. I didn't see Max Frank's birth information. in here. So, anyway, I'll move on. If you've just joined us, please like the stream and subscribe to my channel. And I gratefully accept donations. For readings, I prioritize members and then donations. And then everyone else. Max Frank says, just happy to be here. Love your funny, insightful posts on social media. First stream, sorry not. No, it's okay. You joined. Yes, you're trying to start a new business. You are. So this is wonderful for you. And let me tell you why. So Samantha, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight on your business. You've been having the eclipses, the solar eclipses, oscillate between your 8th and 2nd house. To me, this is a phase of both death and money, right? So it's letting things go on the one hand, which the eclipse in April would have been more about letting things go, perhaps. And then this eclipse coming up October 2nd, the solar eclipse, is going to be in your 2nd house. In fact, I think it's going to be conjunct your sun. So you see, the solar eclipses represent supercharged big beginnings, right? Supercharged big beginnings, you see? Deepika, I see you got a question, my darling. I got a sequence to go into. I've got a one-tracked mind, Taurus Mercury. You see, darling? And I prioritize people who, you know, support my business. Support my business. Thank you. That's who I prioritize because, you know, this is the world we live in, unfortunately. So anyway, this is really, I think this is very auspicious for you, that you're going to have this October 2nd eclipse, and I'm pretty sure it's conjunct your sun. So very auspicious for you. This could be when you either start your business or there's sort of a definitive beginning. I have an LLC, right? So it could be that where you start an LLC or get a business license or sales tax license or whatever. I had to go through all that shit and it's a pain in the ass. but it's really worthwhile. I still have my trademark held up in court. So, excuse me. Excuse me. So let's move on to the next person. Max Frank, thank you for all your support. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. And then we looked at Samantha. Now, Crystal Marie. Crystal Marie, trying to figure out what direction to take my career life expansion. Did you put your information in here, Crystal? Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So, Crystal Marie. 91. You're from Lynchburg, Virginia. See, my last name is Lynch, and there was like this tall tale from my dad that it was named after one of our ancestors, but I doubt it. Because my dad's side of the family went back to colonial times. My mom's came over in the 1800s. Both from Ireland. Ireland. Sorry, that's a really shitty thing. Lynchburg, Virginia. Okay. So here's Crystal Marie. Oh, wait. I have to... So here's Crystal Marie. Taurus rising. Saturn in the 10th house. See, no wonder you're asking about career direction and all that sort of thing. You got Saturn in the 10th house. And oftentimes this gives us a sense that we don't have life direction. Sometimes our parents have expectations of us that we don't fulfill, and we feel quite guilty. And we might get to age 40 and still ask ourselves, like, what do I want to do? But you see, the beneficial side to this is that Saturn is very happy in Aquarius, but also retrograde. I refer to Saturn as she, because I like to do that. And Dorotheus of Sidon in the 1st century, ancient astrologer, he also did the same thing. He labeled Saturn as a feminine planet, so that's the way I treat her. Anyway, you see, Saturn retrograde sort of, there's an indicator that your career situation gets better as you get older. Unfortunately, it's typically towards the late 30s, early 40s. So I don't mean to be a wet blanket, but just be aware of that. That you might have to push through a lot of this stuff. Now, things take time. A well-dignified Saturn takes a long time to cook. You're welcome, Samantha. You're welcome. Oh, Max Frank. Provo, Utah. We'll look at you in just a second. 1980. You're around my age. You're just a couple years older than me. Oh, and Ms. Colston, I'll get you to at some point. And then I'll keep going through people sequentially. Sequentially. Anyway. Unhappy Venus. But happy Mercury and happy Mars all in the 5th house. So once again, this is typically a sexual type person. And these guys in the 5th house sort of indicate to me several things. That children could be in the could be part of your life program. You'll probably have children, but if you do, it would be later in life because retrograde. Or it could be the opposite. You don't want children. But I imagine that children are probably in the cards, just perhaps later in life, you see. Now let's see, I guess, timing and all that. So you've just been, like in 2022, it was a very traumatic time for you, right? With the eclipses going back and forth in the 1st and 7th house. It's like an existential crisis. And at the same time, we tend to have big breakups, right? Big breakups, or sometimes meet a new partner. But with Scorpio, I imagine it was a breakup. Now, on the other hand, the eclipses now are in your 12th and 6th house. I call this the cocoon period, you see, because it's where we sort of process all the shit we went through and we sort of reassimilate. It's all about healing. It's a healing time, you see. The 6th house is your body and the 12th house is your mental health, your physical health and your mental health. So there's a focus on all these sorts of things because they've been suffering, perhaps, right? Your 10th house ruler is Saturn. Saturn is currently moving through your 11th house, right? Saturn is currently moving through your 11th house, which oftentimes makes us feel a bit lonely, or like a pariah. Sometimes we have difficulties with our groups or people who support us. Sometimes someone takes our attention away from a group or activity or something that we really enjoy. Sometimes a partner sort of isolates us, right? And the kind of partners you would need would be fun-loving, childlike, sexy, fun-loving people who like sex. And possibly people who like children too. I have the same thing. 7th house ruler in the 5th house, right? 7th house ruler in the 5th house. But anyway, just in terms of timing, let's go back to this. Jupiter's going through your 2nd house, which is good for business, right? Starting a business perhaps, finding new sources of income, increasing your income. Let me go back and see what your question was. Anyway, it was something about career. It was something about career. Is Crystal Marie still here? Or am I just talking to air? Because I don't want to do charts for anyone that's not here, sweetheart. Are you still here, Crystal Marie? Otherwise, I'll move on. Sweetheart. But yeah, I do see some good stuff for business, Jupiter's going through your 2nd house. So good for starting a new business, finding new sources of income, starting a new job, Increased sales, increased customers, if that's your thing. Mars has been going through your 1st house, though, and Mars is about to go into your 2nd house here in just a bit. So July 20th. Then you'll start spending too much. Watch spending too much money, okay? Anyway, I gotta move on and I don't see you answering. So, Max Frank, let's look at Max Frank really quick. Max Frank. Okay. 9:04 p.m. Okay. So brief natal. Oh my goodness. All that stuff in the 1st house. Saturn and Mars. And Saturn's retrograde. When I see Saturn in the 1st house, the first thing I think of is people who've had an inclination to look for their own value or self-worth through others or through relationships. When I see Saturn in the 1st house, I often think of codependency. You see? I often think of codependency. If you have children, I imagine they have a lot of confidence, right? But your Saturn is retrograde. Saturn retrograde often, it's great at respecting other people's boundaries, but doesn't even know its own. I have Saturn retrograde too. We can let people railroad us. Other people with Saturn retrograde, though, are people who push the envelope or push the boundaries of society. Like, for example, Eleanor Roosevelt, right? She wrote the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That was pushing the boundaries. Vladimir Lenin, right? Pushing the boundaries, right? With the Russian Revolution. Che Guevara, another one, right? Pushing the boundaries, Cuban Revolution. So there's stuff like that. However, typically with Saturn in the 1st house, it's learning to find your own value within, learning to find your own confidence through accomplishment, right? Through doing things, right? And your 10th house ruler is Mercury. You have your 10th house ruler in the 5th house, like I do. So oftentimes they can be small business people who do gambling, people who do sports, or do something, musicians, people who do something fun for money, typically, or for career, or for recognition, right? Like I run a small business, but the 5th house is also sex. So we see people who do sex work or who do, produce naughty content, things like that. I do that too. But besides that, I wonder if you have children. Because the sun in the fifth house, like I do too. Usually we're quite fun-loving and childlike ourselves. Even though you're a Capricorn, I bet you do have, maybe a little bit of a Saturnian presentation, but at the same time, there's something fun about you, or you like to joke, perhaps. With Mercury in the fifth house, we often get into jokes. We like to play around, bust each other's balls, right? And you might, especially with Mars trying Mercury, you might be good at ball busting. Now, when Mars is in Virgo, though, it's like, who moved my cheese, right? Mars and Virgo are the kind of people that like put things on their desk a certain way so they can tell if you moved it a little bit, and they come over like, someone moved this on my desk, Someone moved this on my desk. Who was it? Max Frank says, yes, you've said nothing untrue so far. Well, thank you, I hope so. Now, Venus in the sixth house. I have Venus in the sixth house too. Oftentimes we've been divorced, An Indian astrologer once told me, oh, Venus, well, I shouldn't do the voice. He said, Venus in the sixth house. He said, your partners become your enemies, but their animals love you. So I bet you're great with animals too, because the sixth house is pets and small animals. Now, Venus in Aquarius can be quite aloof. It's not that they're not sensitive, it's that oftentimes they're just scared of it, or it's difficult for them to be vulnerable. And there's a sense of, I think of it like Elsa, the Ice Queen. It's like, hey, I'm in love with you, but just stay over there. You need your space, and it's not like it's a bad thing, The Mars conjunct Jupiter can be a bit fanatical and a bit pompous, I know the right way. That sort of thing. So anyway, but the big important thing is that we get confidence through accomplishment, right? By doing shit. So we could say, yo, I did that. I can do this because I did that, right? And then we don't need other people's validation, because looking for other people's validation takes our own power away, you see? Anyway, I should have had, why isn't the fucking chart up, yo? So this is the chart. I've been talking about this shit the whole time. But you see, the big stellium or whatever, I mean, for a stellium, I typically say 3 planets conjunct in the same sign. But we'll give it to you, X gonna give it to you. DMX. Anyone remember DMX? If you would touch on the third house conjunction before leaving my natal. Oh, with Uranus and the moon. Yeah, I mean, you're weird. You probably growing up got bullied or pushed around. Like you wanted to fit in, but you couldn't. And you're a Scorpio moon. So you're probably one of those like angry teenagers that like, we're around the same age. So you're probably like really into 9-inch nails, or, other kind of like, I was a big 9-inch nails fan, I still am. I love 9-inch nails. But I imagine you brooded in your room a lot. But you see, there's a fun-loving thing about it too. It can be whimsical. It can be sort of, what's the word? Abrupt, unexpected, comes out at left field with certain things. And like I said, you like to joke, but you might sort of, you might come out of left field a bit too much with people and freak them out, or be unsettling in a certain way. And none of that's your fault. None of it's a bad thing necessarily. But you might have an explicit feeling of being left out or rejected by your peers, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn regarding 3-planet stellium qualifier. Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, we're going. I don't know what you mean by qualifier. But the fact that you have all these 3 planets conjunct in the first house gives it a very varied expression. Mars in the first, on the one hand, is very assertive, right? And is sort of like the leader. But in Virgo, it's a very micromanaging leader. Like, no, you're not doing that right, kind of thing. But it's conjunct Jupiter. Jupiter in the first house does have a bit of a sense of confidence. But your Jupiter is unhappy in Virgo because he rules Pisces. And Jupiter's retrograde. So relationships tend to happen later in life. But for the first part of life, Jupiter's not happy and relationships don't go well, You probably get dry skin a lot with Mars in the first house. It can give us a reddish hue. You know, we need to moisturize a lot. Chapped lips with Saturn in the first house sometimes too. Or, you know, cold and dry kind of thing. But the fact of having these all together in the first house sort of signals to me that the emphasis is on the first house, on creating that stable sense of identity, that sense of confidence and strength from which to operate outwards and to be comfortable with your own vulnerability, because you need to be strong to be vulnerable, right? And then Venus is opposite your north node on your south node, you know. And the north node is in your 12th house. So learning over time, right, to, to apply wisdom to your situation. Now, on the one hand, the first part of life could have had to do with physical health maladies and stuff like that. But it could also have been having to do with submission or feeling like you didn't have control over your life and having to please other people all the time. And then as you get older, like the way, our age now, right? Then we start to process and heal and all these sorts of things. It's a mental thing. It's about, and we process things by allowing ourselves to feel them, you see. But anyway, I need to move on. Old and dry. No, I said cold. C-O-L-D. Cold and dry. Cold and dry. Okay, let's move on. We have Kimberly. Oh, Beck said I had to run an errand. Oh, wait. Kimberly. Wait, Sarah Kimberly Rosen. Where is Sarah Kimberly Rosen here? Is Sarah Kimberly Rosen here? Because I don't see your birth info. Or right was Rosenek. Sarah Kimberly. Did we do Sarah Kimberly? No. Are you here, Sarah Kimberly? Please. Please, darling. Okay, good. Can you please? Thank you, Max. Can you please put your birth info in here again? Date, time, city. I just can't find it in here. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry, sweetheart. Okay, here we go. Ms. Colston watching from work. Oh, sugar. Okay. I need your... Oh, embudo. Okay. Okay. Sarah Kimberly. Let's see. Española. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. 1970. So you're my sister's age. So I assume that's 2:30. Oh, 2:30 p.m. Thank you. Oh. Embudo. Oh, embudo came up. Cool. Very cool. And you're new here too, so we'll just do quick natal reading. Wow, everything's focused in your 9th house, whereas with Max, it was all in his 1st house. And really, well, Saturn in the 5th house. Long time ago born. Well, you're only, 13 years older than me. I mean, I date people, like, in their 50s, so. I have a wide spread, you see. I have a wide spread. So anyway, when everything is focused in the 9th house like this, it's like spirituality is a life motif, Every house is represented in your chart, even the empty ones. Just because your 7th house is empty doesn't mean you don't have partners. Like, in fact, the moon rules your 7th house. Yes, right, Wozniak. We're gonna... I'm sorry, I didn't say that right. Rosanek. We're going to get to you. Don't worry. We're going to get to you. So, um, the moon rules your seventh house. God, the fucking dryer just went off. So you need the kind of partners who are fun, loving, childlike, all that sort of thing. And maybe you've had a good marriage, you know, or something like that. Because the moon is very happy. So I'd imagine you've had at least a couple good relationships or maybe a marriage. Um, I'd expect that. I'd expect that. I like dance clubs, so you guys are. I like dance clubs, so always guys who are too young. See, there you go! Young guys! Yup, young partners, childlike, right? No partners since 2018. Yeah, you sweetheart. But I wonder if you had difficulty with childbirth. 16 years then marriage died. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. And you see that moon is conjunct Saturn. Oh my gosh. It was okay sometimes. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know good and bad is sort of relative, isn't it? Sort of relative. So Saturn, though, retrograde in the fifth house, difficulty having children, you know? Difficulty having children oftentimes, not wanting children, fertility issues, difficult times with childbirth or labor, C-sections, although Mars in the fifth house can be C-sections too. That sort of thing. So I don't know if you had any of that difficulty, right? Some people have this position and it's not necessarily difficulty, but they work with difficult children. You know, I have a friend with this who has her own children, and she works with difficult children. Oh, you have 9 children. Wow. The fifth house ruler is Venus. Oh my gosh. Ooh, and an unhappy Venus, but conjunct Jupiter. So I wonder if you still had difficulties with your children. Perhaps they were difficult children, you know? Maybe 1 or 2 of them were popular. I was lucky things went well. Good. Very good. And your first house ruler is Saturn in the fifth house. And typically that means, yeah, children are quite important. Children are quite important. But I would expect you to have been one of those children who was always asking oh yeah, almost all neurodivergent. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. That's a tough thing to deal with, you know? It's a tough thing to deal with. And Venus also rules your 10th house. So again, difficult time with career perhaps, but you would get luck from sales, maybe. A career in sales because it's 11th house, or being able to connect with people. I mean, social media careers, but also, I said sales, but what else is that? Networking and all that. You know, so, and it's conjunct Jupiter, which can be auspicious on the one hand, make you quite popular, but on the other hand, it can make you self-indulgent, you know, like, oh, I can have one more. Oh, I can have one more. But I imagine career's been difficult. 3 with type 1 diabetes, 1 with leukemia. Oh my gosh, that is quite difficult. Yeah. But again, Pluto conjunct the sun, a life learned through crisis, you know. But you're also very interested in the big questions. You did military, worked at the headquarters. That's 12th house stuff oftentimes. And that's interesting. Well, on the one hand, it's interesting that it was military because the 11th house, groups and all that sort of thing. But the 12th house is also like big institution. You know, and you have Jupiter in the 11th house. So that's quite interesting. But so anyway, as a child, the spiritual life or whatever, philosophical or political or the big questions, your values, right? That takes precedence. But then as you got older, communicating those sorts of things, perhaps. You know, learning how to connect with people on those sorts of things, or perhaps even teaching or educating on arcane or philosophical subjects. That's often a thing. That's often a thing. Probably a bad relationship with dad, too. Maybe dad was religious. I don't know. When I see Mars in the ninth house, I think of people who had a bad experience of religion growing up. You see? God, that sound from the dryer. It goes, eh. It's called like wrinkle guard or whatever. And when it stops, it goes, eh, and then it does it again. Anyway, I want to move on so we can do other people, because I know other people have been waiting patiently. Right Wazanek. Did you put your information in here right? Where's your info? I don't see it. Oh, okay, now I see it. Laura. Laura, don't you give me some time. I've got to give myself one more chance to bring the band that I know I'm in. To ring the band that I know I am. Won't you just tell baby daddy I'm gonna need his love. Why don't he give me his love? Why don't he give me your Shimon? Shimon, where is your love? Don't you give me your love? Don't you give me your Shimon? Shimon. Oh, it's Des Moines, Des Moines, in Iowa. This'll be the last time I ever do your hair. That's Scissor Sisters. Scissor Sisters, one of my favorite bands. My dryers. Oh, I keep forgetting Ms. Colston and Shani are here. And we'll have to look at your progressions really quickly. So Laura, you have Mercury in the first house, exactly conjunct your ascendant. This is very auspicious, and you're quite intelligent, I bet. And your moon opposite your ascendant in the seventh house. So you could be quite impulsive on the one hand, and you could probably be a bit of a biatch, yeah? But on the other hand, you could be a total simp. Which, see, when I see the moon and Saturn in the seventh house, it makes me think of a conflicting nature where on the one hand, Saturn there indicates a hyper-independence, right? Whereas the moon there indicates like a codependence, you see? It's sort of an interesting contrast. And Saturn is both retrograde and in fall. So, unfortunately, a bit unhappy. So when I see this, I think as a child, you learned early on that you couldn't trust people, that you couldn't count on them, that they would let you down, right? Like 9 Inch Nails, right, Max? I will let you down. I will make you hurt. See, we have some new people here, it looks like. So please like the stream, subscribe to my channel, right? And I gratefully accept tips and donations. You can put your birth information in the chat. And I prioritize members, people who've donated or tipped me, and then everybody else. Everybody else. Gosh, that's a heavy 12th house with the sun there, conjunct Uranus and Pluto, you see. Once again, this is someone who learns through crises, who has difficulty following directions. You may have friends. Well, see, there's a couple of things here. Number one, when I see Venus conjunct Jupiter in the 11th house, I think of popular people or party animals, but people who can be self-indulgent and take things too far. Like, once again, like I said, with Jupiter, Venus, and I think the last person, you know, there could be like, oh, it's fine. I can have another cupcake and another, you know, drink and another this, you know, I can have another Molly, you know. And Venus was just stationing direct, which is very auspicious. It's very auspicious. So on the one hand, and also the sun in the 12th house, what do the S's mean? So this S, this black S, means stationing direct. If it's a red S, like this one here, it means stationing retrograde. Stationing means it's like appearing to slow down and stop, right? Stationing means the planet stops. The planets don't really stop. We know that. However, they appear that way from Earth. And that's what retrogrades are. Retrogrades are when, in the case of Venus, an inferior planet, Venus is approaching a conjunction, gets within, say, 60 degrees or a sextile from the Earth, right? Which means a trine from the sun, and appears to slow down, right? Just relative to the Earth, and then appears to stop and move backwards through the zodiac. And once again, we know that doesn't happen. It's apparent motion because of the different relationships of motion between the Earth, the sun, and the other planets. You see? Anyway, so it still rhymes with Masonic. Oh, Rasonic. Okay, Rasonic, Masonic. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Okay. 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 So I'm probably going to go live either earlier, because I have to meet someone at noon tomorrow. Noon my time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern. So same time I started today. So I'll either have to start earlier or later tomorrow. Earlier or later tomorrow. Or I'll just wait for Monday. I'll just wait for Monday to go live again. So I see difficulties with mental health or substance issues. I see someone who doesn't like to follow directions, who marches to their own beat, right? On the other hand, I see someone who struggles with relationships a little bit. You probably want the kind of partner who can have conversations with you, who you can share ideas with, you see? Who you can share ideas with, talk to, You need an intellectual rapport with your partner. And like I said, you're probably quite intelligent. Now you have the moon opposite Mercury, and that's anxiety. You see, that's a lot of anxiety sometimes. So finding ways to relax. It may be a mental health thing indicated by the 12th house, though. It may be a mental health thing indicated by that. So, right, right. Ray Sonic, can you put your information back in there in the chat? I think I lost your information in the chat. If you could put your information again. Right. Rasonic. Anyway, just some timing things really quick. You're about to have your second Saturn return. Did I put that right? 1967. 1967. Child getting married and divorced, perhaps? Were one of your children divorced? One of your children divorced? Is Laura still here? Are you here, Laura? Laura, won't you give me some time? I've got to give myself one more chance. Deepika, I'll get you just really quick with the tarot thing. I've got to give myself one more chance to ring the band that I know I'm in. Okay, Deepak. Or sorry, Deepika. Okay, according to the tarot. I can't do both, Deepika. I don't have time for all that. Okay, we'll do your chart then, and not tarot. But defeated, right? This is a problem going on right now. So This is defeat. So you have to leave, right? You were in a contest or something, or a struggle, and you had to go. Bexy, thank you. Yes, it's a cute dress. I was going to make it a surprise for you, but, you know. It looks like you will reach France. I don't know if it's on time, but it's going to be quickly. Swiftness. It's going to be quickly. I will, like, I'm supposed to do people who paid first, Topeka. So you need to wait a little bit. So Laura, is Laura even still here? Right. Right. Where's your stuff? Right. You're still here. I know you are. Right. Can you put your birth information in the chat? Put your birth information in the chat. I'll look at Topeka really quick while we're doing this. I'll look at Topeka really quick. But can you please write Rasonic? Put your birth information for me. Because I can't find it. I cannot find it. I do not see it, Sam I am. I do not see the green eggs and ham. Topeka, typically I prioritize people who've donated. I'm not trying to be callous, but that's what I do because that way it's fair to my people. It's fair to people who contribute to my business. That's the fair thing to do. Now, write. Can you please put your birth information in here? Write. Not you, Topeka. I see yours. Talking right. Wait. 1555. Bangalore. Oh, Bangalore, India. Yeah. So just from your chart, will you reach France in September? That's around the lunar eclipse, which will be in Pisces. Long journeys. Saturn is the ruler of long journeys. Exile. Saturn in the 12th house. So you're being forced out of your home for some reason. Saturn in the 12th house is exile. Saturn going through the 11th house right now is a feeling of rejection. Oftentimes rejection by friends or peers. Unfortunately, life is a lot of learning about loss, right? With all the stuff in the 8th house. People probably treat you like a confidant. But as far as will you reach France? I mean, that's more of a horary question. As far as this, it looks like there's a close to you. With this lunar eclipse in September, it looks like there's a close coming to a situation involving, you know, friends, groups, and supporters. So I don't know what that has to do with you going to France, though. Jupiter in the 9th house indicates long journeys, too, or moving to a new country. Yeah. Mars is about to go in your 2nd house, so watch spending money. You know? But I don't know. You did 9/20/67. Oh, wait, that was you? Oh, you're Laura. Sorry, right. You're Laura. You're Laura, right? September 20th, 1967, 8:45 a.m. That was you. Okay. So that was you, right? I got confused. So I was talking about you. You are Laura. Laura. So on the one hand, tendency towards codependency, and on the other towards hyper independence. But see, what we're learning here as we get older is about how to relate to people and how to build strong relationships. And we build strong relationships when we're willing to walk away. Because when we're not willing to walk away, we let people treat us like garbage, don't we? So, now according to the tarot, Deepika, it does look like you'll reach France, but that's up to you. It's how much effort you put into it, of course. You see? But it looks like luck is on your side according to the tarot. And it looks like things are speeding up, right? So you have to keep your wits about you and recognize when you have to act, right? When you have to make time. So anyway, so learning how to approach relationships with a sense of confidence and healthy independence, right? Because hyper independence is sort of a trauma response to the idea that people will let you down, you know, that you can't trust anyone. But being able to get that inner confidence allows you to trust people because people will let you down. I told you, anyway. People will let you down inevitably, you see? And you have Chiron opposite your sun. I have it conjunct. So unfortunately, you've had a painful life, you know? And you've learned through significant amounts of pain. Unfortunately. I wonder if you had a child who got divorced, though. Did you have a child who got divorced? Did you? We have to move on to the next person. So we did Laura, who was who? Right. Or let's look at, we'll look at Ms. Colston's progressions really quick. Are you still here, Ms. Colston? Are you still here, Ms. Colston? Are you still here, Miss Colston? Sorry, Miss Colston. Do, 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 do. Oh, you did have a kid who got divorced, right? Laura. Lara. Are you still here, Miss Colston? Are you still here? Are you still here, Miss Colston? Are you still here, Miss Colston? Holler if you hear me. You're welcome, Deepika. You are, okay. What's retrograde in your chart? I see Saturn retrograde. So remember, with progressions, we look at three things. We look at planets changing signs. We look at planets going retrograde or direct. And we look at, oh, thank you, Deepika. You're so sweet. And we look at progressed lunations. So I want to first see if your progressed Saturn ever goes direct by progression. I don't think so. No. Nope. Not in your lifetime. Nope, nope, nope. I said no, no, no. But that's okay. For most people, it doesn't. For most people, it doesn't. Your progressed moon phase is approaching a first quarter. So you see, this is a big action phase where you're starting to pursue new things. It can be difficult because we face a lot of resistance in the first quarter. You see, it's like we're trying to embark on something. Yeah, we'll look at your progressions, Shani, really quick. Do I see any big stuff coming up? Do I see any big stuff? Well, really quickly, let's look at when your progressed new moon happened. So this would have been starting July of 2017. Your progressed new moon. Was this a significant time in your life? It probably was. See, progressed new moons are like starting over from scratch again, typically. It feels like we're starting over from scratch. It could be traumatic, or it can be a wonderful sort of reemergence, you know, where you're letting go of the past and starting in on the future. But you see, you've been engaged in that whole building up thing. So whatever happened back in 2017, right? You're building up something from that impulse now and facing resistance to whatever that desire or impulse was now, right? What else is happening? Let's go forward to now. Let's go forward to now. Any planets about to change signs? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Look at this. Towards the end of the month, this is a big deal. Much of what I said was accurate according to Laura. Thank you so much, Laura. Astrology is a symbolic language. I always say I'm as psychic as a rock. I've just learned how to read the language. Now, that doesn't mean I don't get impressions, right? Impressions that aren't necessarily, standard impressions, Your mom passed away on April 2017. You see, when I had my progressed new moon is when my dad took his own life. So sometimes they're traumatic, especially if they happen to be eclipses, which mine was. I'm not going to look and see if yours was right now because we don't have time for that, right? But your progressed moon is about to go into Taurus in just a couple weeks. This is really cool. This is a time when you get to enjoy yourself more. You get to calm down, Yes, I'm very wise, Laura says. So anyway, this is cool because in just a few weeks, you're going to be a progressed moon in Taurus. And this is a great place for the moon, you see? It's where we stop getting so reactive and angry, like I am right now, Sarah Kimberly Rose, oh, I'm sorry. That's okay. It was 20 years ago. It was 20 years ago. One daughter in a serious relationship. I want grandchildren. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So anyway, that's something to be excited about. I'm going to move on to Shani Swift progressions really quick, because then we're going to get back to the other folks. Who the fuck is Shani? Oh, my hernia. Shani. Cruella de Vil. Cruella de Vil. If Shani don't scare you, neither will she. I don't know. Where's Shani's chart? I know I had it. Everything's in. I don't think so. Everything's in. I don't think so. Yo. What the fuck is Shani's shit, yo? Maybe I'll... Where the fuck is Shani? No, I'm looking for your chart, yo. I should have it in my queue, but I don't for some reason. So can you put your stuff back up? You're welcome, Ms. Colston. Always, always, always. And don't worry, we're constantly unpacking your chart. There's always more to see. There's always more to see. Oh, here's Shady. Let's look at your progressions. And then we'll move on to the other folks. So progressions. Wow, okay. What have we got going here? So your moon is on the waning cycle, your progressed moon. So you see, this is sort of like a deconstruction or whatever. I mean, it's the phase that I'm sort of still in, It's the phase that I'm sort of still in. And it's a very critical and deconstructing phase. So in the disseminating moon, It's sort of like we put into practice the stuff that we learned in the previous cycle, you know, on the waxing cycle. And as we get to the first quarter, we start to let go. You know, we start to think about what went wrong with all the stuff we'd done before. And as we get to the balsamic, the progressed balsamic moon, what you might call the waning crescent, but you know, in astrology we call it the balsamic. And that typically indicates looking ahead to the next phase in the progressed new moon, right? You know, it's a complete dissatisfaction with what happened before. So this is an interesting time in your life to be in, you see? Now, oh shit. Throw it up on the screens, motherfucker. Let me go back in time. This is a long way back in time. This is a long way back in time. Oh my gosh, what year were you born? What year were you born? Let me find your shit again. Ugh. I should get rid of some of these. Here's Shani. You were born in 1991, and this was 1998, so you're not going to remember any of this probably. When your progressed Saturn stationed when you were 1991 to 1998. I guess that was when you were 6 or 7 years old. So that would have been a significant year. 1998. Did your parents ever tell you something about 1998 or a big thing that happened to you? Because it looks pretty wild. You would have been 6 or 7 years old. That's pretty wild. I mean, we'll go back now to this year. I've got to give myself one more chance. There was a lot of movement in your life then. I mean, you were really little, but now your progressed full moon was in October 2016. It started. Now remember, the effects of these things go on for a good 6 months to a year sometimes. But yo, was there anything significant that happened at the end of 2016? Oftentimes, like I said, it feels like a high point. That's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting thing. You went into foster care. I'm so sorry, sweetheart. You went through a lot. Yeah, that was quite difficult. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. Okay, when does your progressed moon go into Virgo? Your progressed moon goes into Virgo next year. Probably around May of next year, April of next year. And that'll be interesting because right now you're probably sort of a bit more assertive or self-centered, you know, it's Leo. And when it goes into Virgo, you're going to be a bit more subby, or, you know, perhaps a bit more introspective as well. You know, Virgo moons can be total subby bitches, can't they? Right? Rosanek, know what? Know what? 2016, I think I left an abusive relationship and moved to the place that led me to be able to leave the relationship. Yeah, that sounds like a likely thing. Sounds like a likely thing. But next year, this is quite important, right? Your progressed moon goes into Virgo. And it's going to make you a bit more introspective, a little less active, perhaps, a little more submissive, a little more concerned of, with how things fit together, right? It's more dissectional. Now, because it's the moon, there's a tendency sometimes to put other people's emotions and happiness before your own. You just have to be careful of that because that leads us down a bad trap, So anyway, let's go on to the next person. Who was next? Who is next? Who is next? We did you. We did you. We did you. Oh, come on. We did you. Excuse me. Excuse me. Who else is still here? Is Tharun still here? Tharun says, does Pravina love me? When will she come back? I mean, apparently she does still love you. Ugh. Will she come back? Will she come back? Justice. There's something that she won't forgive you for. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Okay, who else did I have? Who else did I have? We did Mitchin. We did Crystal Marie. We did Cassie, Samantha, Mitchin. We looked at Deepika. We looked at Laura. Who's C? Is C still here? Is C still here? Is C still here? Yes, you are. C is still here. Okay, C. November 7th. Oops. 2001. November 7th, 2001. Thank you for doing Daytime City. Thank you so much. 10:14 p.m. Manila. Manila, Philippines. And then we got C partner. C partner. C partner, run. Run, partner, run. Sorry. Okay. March 26th. 2002. 4:34 a.m. Manila. Perfect. Okay. Now let's go see what people are saying. Okay, so C, I'm going to look at your 7th house ruler, and then your partner's 7th house ruler, and then the synastry. Is this up on the screen? Yes, it is. Your 7th house ruler is Saturn. And Saturn is in Gemini, which isn't bad, but retrograde and in the 12th house. So you just have to be careful because you might be interested in partners who are like fixer-uppers, or partners who might have drug or alcohol problems, or maybe mental health issues or neurodivergence. It can be all of the above. The 12th house has to do with our mental health, you see, or mental suffering sometimes. But Saturn rejoices in the 12th house. It can often feel like an exile, like you're always kind of left out. Or like you prefer to be alone, And then your North Node is there too. So learning to enjoy your company and the enjoyment of seclusion as you get older. You're still quite young. You're 23 or something like that. Although I've dated people your age. But you're still quite young, And then Mars opposite the moon Just got to watch out for your temper sometimes, sweetheart. And then Mars conjunct Neptune can be a bit fanatical. You know, can be a bit fanatical. Now, very happy Venus in the 4th house and Mercury in the 4th house. I wonder if you're a good singer or you have a good singing voice. But you would also probably like history. You would probably like history. Yeah. Anyway, and you have a tendency to spend money or get into debt. Meanwhile, material security is really important to you. So there's a struggle there. You know? Now let's look at your partner. Your partner's got a Pisces rising. That's interesting. So, they have a Venus in Aries. So you see, they might be brash, perhaps. Or not very socially tactful. You know, they might make off-color jokes in front of people and stuff like that. So, they probably have a difficult time with money, which might make you uncomfortable. Because Mars rules the 2nd house and is in Taurus, right? In detriment. Now, the 7th house ruler is Mercury, and Mercury's in the 1st house. So you're probably attracted to confident type partners, right? Alpha males. The alpha males are back, right? Or that type. People are confident and perhaps sometimes narcissistic even. Like, you know, you want the best. You know, you want the... I'm assuming that you're dating men. I don't... But whoever you're dating, you want the best. You want the person who won the race. Who won the, you know... The person who's got prominence. You know, the person who's got confidence. Sometimes I'm guessing they can be narcissistic partners. So that's something to be careful. Oh, that's what he's into. I'm sorry. That's what he's into. So he might be a little submissive. He might be a little submissive. Excuse me. Let's see. Pluto trine Venus, a bit obsessive. Pluto trine the moon, a bit obsessive. Difficulties with the mother. Let's see, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter in the 5th house. And it's a happy Jupiter, you know. So I wonder if there is some sort of career success. I wonder if there is some sort of career success, although they're still quite young, you see. So anyway, but health problems with the moon in the 6th house usually. And then the moon in Leo, everything's usually about it. So there's a lot of, you know, craving attention and that sort of thing. But as they get older, they want to build a stable home life because they didn't have one when they were growing up. So let's look at the synastry. Oh, these are, my nails look nice. These are the stick-on gel things. You know, my daughter and I got one of those little UV lights. And so I put, you know, I filed them down. I didn't do this hand because I use this hand for naughty things, you know. So I just did one hand. I should probably do both because they're short enough to where it's okay, probably. You know. But it's like they're stick-on gel, and then you put them in the UV light, and they harden. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. You see, the difficult thing about Mercury in Pisces is it can be quite intelligent, but it sucks at expressing itself. You know, it sounds like gobbledygook sometimes. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Now let's look at a synastry grid. Synastry grid. God, I've got like 100 charts in this thing here. There's ways around that. You just have to curve the corners. I mean, I do. Like, I did. I always do them rounded, you know. But I try and keep my nails super short for that. And you can't do these if your nails are too short. Because you have to They have to be fit to your nail, and then you file the whole thing down. You know, otherwise they pop off. Like my daughter tried to make them longer, and they kept popping off, you see. So anyway, I can't really put the synastry grid on the screen very well. See, it's all cut off. But anyway, I'll describe it to you because I don't want to waste people's time by resizing all the screens, right? So I look for bad stuff first. I look for hard aspects of Pluto, Saturn, and Mars. So number one, your Pluto is square his ascendant. So wait, a close friend was a femme fatale and a lesbian. So we had this conversation, and I looked at her long nails in horror. Yeah, you know, I used to get acrylics until I started, you know, because there was a time when I was just transitioning and not really dating. And then I started dating, and, you know, that's much more important to me than having cute nails. You know, being able to make someone feel good is a lot more important to me than these nails. So, for what that's worth. See, this would be a life-changing relationship with Pluto square the ascendant. It wouldn't necessarily be pleasurable or pleasant, but it would be life-changing. There might be other good stuff in here, though. See, Pluto opposite Saturn, not too remarkable. Excuse me. Excuse me, I'm having a caffeine crash. What about Saturn? Well, Saturn's trine Mars, that's not too bad. Saturn square the ascendant, that's another difficult thing. It can be good for keeping people together, but it can make us feel trapped. You see, that's the difficult part of it. Now, Mars is opposite the Sun, that's arguments and bickering. Mars might feel like the Sun is like full of itself, or, you know, that sort of thing. But Mars would you know, get jealous or bickering sometimes. But see, then their Sun is sextile your Mars, which is really good on the one hand for, you know, healthy competition or sexual friction, you know, which is good. The Sun trine the Moon is good for relaxing in someone else's company. Venus opposite Venus, it's a wide orb, but it can still be kind of attractive. You know, these oppositions sort of like, they create sort of this constructive sexual friction. Shani says good priorities. Yeah, I am. I'm a fifth house person. My priorities, right? My life priorities are number one, my daughter. Number two, having lots and lots of, you know, intimate connections with lots of people. And then number three is upsetting the rest of you people, you know, and making money while doing it, if I can, you know. So anyway, Venus opposite Venus. Now, Venus opposite Mercury can be difficult for communication. It's a wide orb, but still, you know, Mercury might not feel comfortable speaking up sometimes. Mercury might not feel comfortable speaking up sometimes. And then Venus square the ascendant. This is very attractive too. Sometimes it can feel like love at first sight, but later it can feel like you don't like the way they dress, you don't like the way they look. Like they might be attractive to you physically, but on the other hand, your styles are completely different, like totally different aesthetics. You might say to him, like, why don't you try this shirt on? Like, you'd look good in a polo or something. And he's like, no, I like my Butthole Surfers shirt or whatever. You guys wouldn't know who the band is, but you know what I'm talking about. Now, Sun square his Neptune. That can be difficult because we would see each other through rose-colored glasses. We would apologize for each other's toxic behavior. We'd be like, oh, it's okay. He's just having a bad day. It's fine that, you know, he hit my dog with the... I don't know. But it's like apologizing for other people's behavior when you really should call out that sort of toxicness. Not saying that's what it is necessarily, but that's often what it looks like. And I have lots and lots. I've had hundreds of clients. Hundreds and hundreds of clients. So anyway. And then his Saturn trine your Mars, that actually can be good for staying power, for staying together for a while, right? You might inspire this person. You might inspire them or encourage them, right? And they may keep you in line a little bit. Like they might give you some healthy direction or even a little bit of authority, you know? Mars opposite the sun. We talked about that bickering already. Anyway, I mean, there's great stuff here. I can't go too far into it all. But there's great stuff here. There's a lot of difficult stuff too, you know. Sun trine the ascendant is quite good. Mercury trine the ascendant is even better. You know, ideas, discussions, communication would factor into this relationship quite a bit, you know. So anyway, but we got to stop that. Was there anyone else here? Was there anyone else here who's still here who didn't get it? Give one more person an opportunity to say, here I am, rock you like a hurricane. Is there one more person who wants to get their palm red? We'll paint it red. That was a Bugs Bunny joke. Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? Shani says good priorities. Yeah, I know. I know. For those of you who just came, please like the stream. Like the stream, subscribe to my channel, and I gratefully accept donations. You're welcome, C. I gratefully accept donations and tips through super thanks or super chats down below. Please, 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 if there's no one else who wants any chart readings, then we'll do this again on sugar. Hope that doesn't. Anyway, if there's no one else, I'm going to go live again on Monday. On Monday, just let me double check my schedule. My schedule for Monday. Yes, I'm going live on Monday. If I can go live tomorrow, I will. If I can go live tomorrow, I will. Is there anyone else here? I'm giving you a quick opportunity if you want a chart reading. Otherwise, we'll adjourn and we'll do this again in a day or so. I didn't flash, don't worry. Okay, good. Because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. And people have to pay for that sort of thing. Because they do that sort of content, but you have to pay for it. Yeah. Because I have to diversify my income, you see. Although if Trump wins, then I won't be able to do that anymore. I won't be able to be a public person. So please, please, please vote. And vote for whoever the Democrat is, because otherwise it ends my life. Then my life will become illegal. So please, please, please. Okay. Well, no one else is saying anything, so thank you so much for coming. Thank you, thank you. I love you so much, and thank you for everyone who contributed to my channel. Thank you, thank you. Thank you for the very generous donations. I appreciate you. I love you very much. And I'll see you hopefully tomorrow, but definitely Monday. Okay? But I will post a notice about it. But hopefully tomorrow. If I do it tomorrow, it won't be it'll be 2 hours later than this. So just forewarning, if anyone's still interested in that. Anyway, love you all. Mwah. Thanks for your time. I learned a lot. Wonderful. Yes. And continue to come and you'll learn a lot more. You'll learn a lot more. I'm going to try and come back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then I'll plan on Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, which is 12 p.m. my time, Mountain. Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, whatever you're having.